Welcome, everyone. This is Coaching in Session. My name is Michael Rearden, and I will be your mindset coach today. And today we're going to be talking about mindset, a little bit about helping you figure out what you need to do in your life. Now, the things that we're going to be talking about today are going to be looking at mentorship, the right friends, your circle, looking at the idea of instilling values into yourself, and knowing what is going to be positive in your life. The journey that we go on today is all over the place. I'm just going to say it. It's all over the place. It's not necessarily one where we talk about just one specific topic. But what I will say, the topic today is specifically mindset. And the reason why it's mindset is because the mindset can do just that. The mindset can be over here, then it can be over there. And we have to be able to adapt whenever the mind moves, because we're going to start to question exactly what's going on in their mind. We talk about some popular people in the world. We talk about Andrew Tate. And it's not so much that he's a bad guy. It's just that we look at him as an example. And just because we use him as an example, it doesn't mean that he's the only example. It doesn't mean he's the only positive thing or the only negative thing, however you want to view the man. We get to make that choice for ourselves. And in our life, you get to make the choice of who you have in your life, who you allow to be your coach, who you allow to influence you, who you seek mentorship from, because that's going to help you become the person that you're trying to become. And today, we're going to be bringing on a guest coach, Jacob Muir. He's going to be helping us figure out his journey a little bit. And then from his journey, how he helps individuals get the understanding that they get to make the choice what they want for themselves. So let's take a look at that interview now. Welcome, Jacob Muir, to Coaching in Session. How are you doing today?
Doing amazing, man. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks so much for coming on. Today, we're going to be talking about some of my favorite things: mindset, fitness, and nutrition. Now, we are not going to necessarily pick one today. We're just going to allow a natural flow of conversation to lead us on a journey of all of them, maybe just some specific ones. But what got you into this work? Tell the world who you are, what you do, and how you help.
Yeah, Jacob Muir. I'm Australian. I was born and raised in Sydney, and I self-destructed to get to this point. You know, I've got friends, or actually one friend that's going through something which is, it seems like a challenge or it's a setback, but it's actually something that sets them up for growth, and it's a breakup. So for me, it was a similar situation, but instead of just being around the right people, I just went into drinking alcohol, partying, and used that as a form of escapism to just escape the lack of self-worth that I had. But like I was saying, you know, all those things are blessings, because after a year of understanding what I was doing and just really serving myself, then I was able to separate myself and really now be able to help people, you know, whether it's any vices like marijuana, alcohol, I can help them get rid of that and really, you know, improve their lives.
And I love the idea of life can be a setup or a setback. I'm going to explain it and then I'm going to pass it to you. A setback can be that we have these hurdles, right? We fall into these addictive substances. We maybe have this negative talk to ourselves. We don't feel as confident as we can. We feel stuck. But then we can feel that life can be a setup. And for this, it has two paths, right? Like life has set me up to fail. Or we can say that I'm going to set you up for the layup, or I'm going to set you up for the goal. Think of, if you play any sport, you are going to set up the shot for them to make the goal, whether it be football, whether it be soccer, baseball, maybe not so much. But if you go to maybe a batter, for example, the batter might set up the first baseman to be on second base by doing a bunt. And they do a bunt, they set that person up to score. So in life, we can have that setup where we can win, where we can score, where we can have that opportunity to prosper. When you are helping people set up their life to win, what are some of the steps you do to help them realize that the journey that they're going to be going on is doable?
Yeah, well, I think it really just comes down to understanding and separating yourself from your actions and just being conscious of that. Because, you know, that year that I really just spent drinking and chasing party and everything external, I was just really thinking of myself. And so my actions followed that. Now, when we look at things like purpose, which is, in my opinion, something I've got passed down by a mentor, is building that best version of yourself and then becoming a better example for, be it your family, peers, friends, then it's no longer about you anymore. So it really starts with just separating yourself.
Would you say that people need to go down this street or this journey or road or path of vices in order to realize that it's not for them? Or is it something that a person like yourself who has experience can say, hey, I did it, it's not worth it, don't do it. But yet it does create a bit of curiosity. Do you think that people should experience it to some degree, to some level, so they can realize it's not for them?
Not necessarily. I really believe it depends on your circle and what you choose to listen to. If it's something that someone's made a mistake on, you already know in your conscience that you shouldn't do it. Yet, if you continue to choose you and your emotions and this victim mentality, then you'll follow through with it. But then always at the end, you're going to have that conscience tell you that it's not the right thing. It's not in alignment with your higher self, which is, the hangovers, the feeling shitty after doing the thing that you shouldn't do.
So you said something about the circle, right? The circle of people that we are around. If you hang around those individuals that are partying, that are going out, that are doing these things, you are going to be more likely to do them, of course. However, if you hang around people who are more positive, people who are going to be doing things that are helping them grow and prosper in life, whether it be you get mentors and the mentors helping you grow businesses, start things, real estate, the positive things versus going out and partying, coming home, drunk, hangover the next day, you waste a whole day, you don't feel your highest self. There is those circles, right? Do you think that people should be more strict in the circles that they put themselves in?
Yeah, I think if you really want a different life, which for some they'll follow that, then you have to listen and follow the advice of someone that has the life that you desire. Because there's a lot of people that will speak but don't have the results. So it is important to surround yourself with people that are on the same path, have the results of the life that you desire. If not, if you have people around you, but they're maybe not supporting you in the way that they should, they don't necessarily have to be entrepreneurs or be earning six figures a day or a month, anything like that. Just have to be supportive at the minimum. So if that person or these people around you are not doing that, well, then it doesn't really serve your best self and where you want to head to, does it? So
The issue then becomes if a person does want to give themselves good people in their life, where does one find them? Because people will typically naturally gravitate toward people who have similar mindsets to them currently, not so much of people who have mindsets that they wish to have, because comfort is going to be the killer of so many dreams and aspirations and potential for growth. Because if it feels good, hey, this feels good. This feels like, like we're going to vibe because we don't want change, right? Change is going to be one of the most challenging things a person's going to have to do. And not everyone is going to step into change readily. So putting yourself into that group of people who have that growth mindset versus people who have a fixed mindset that you have already learned to love, that you have already learned to acclimate into your life is very different because now they have to make a choice. Do they stay the same or do they grow? What type of mentality does a person have to have if they want to choose to challenge themselves, to change and to grow and to finally reach the level of those people in that group?
yeah, it just takes surrounding yourself with those type of people. There's no one around you that pushes you to do uncomfortable things or is already doing that thing, then it's very unlikely that you're going to go and actually do that thing because you're going to always come to the level of those people around you. Let's say that you've got a bunch of single guys and you're around guys that are nerdy, maybe they're just shy. You're probably not going to go and approach women if you think a girl's cute, right? But if you're with guys that are confident, they work on themselves and they do those things, then naturally you're going to be able to do it because you just think, oh, it's not really that much, is it? So you're always going to accumulate to the people that you're surrounded by. And people with true friends are going to be the ones that tell you what you need to hear instead of what you want to hear, which is a big thing in our Western society. And they're always going to push you and tell you what's going to help you most. So they're going to hold you to a higher standard.
You said something about true friends. Now, friends are something that when we're younger, we just kind of fall into those friendships where we're in the same grade together and everyone comes to the birthday party, right? We're all friends, we're all classmates. And eventually those friendships, they turn to more of a best friend type of situation, maybe, right? So now I have my best friends, and these are the people that I favor, right? People I trust. But yet, the personality sometime for these individuals might not be exactly what we need. I'm not sure if you have ever dealt with this, but my parents, sometimes I would have friends from my class and they would just not be good fits or something along those lines, right? They can see what I can't see. They have more wisdom than me. For me, I'm just like, they're a good guy. They treat me good. They're a good girl. They treat me good. They're very friendly. We're friends. But yet they see so much more. Some friends can be takers, some friends can be givers. And if you surround yourself with people who just take from you, it takes away from what you can accomplish because now you're always trying to replenish what has been taken. In a sense, we don't necessarily have a good foundation for building true friendship because we just kind of fall into the people that are in our life. Oh, yeah, you're at the same gym. Okay, let's be friends. Oh, you're at the same country club, but let's be friends. It's not so much of finding people who are truly going to be in alignment with ourselves. How would one find these true friends?
The crazy thing is now it's a blessing, but also if you don't know how to use it correctly and you're just a consumer of social media, then you may get lost. But building a personal brand, the beauty of that is that you're going to attract people like attracts like. So you're not going to follow someone if you're in a party phase and you're going through this escapism phase. If they're not in that similar path, you're going to like people that are, popping bottles in a club, maybe in Dubai, UK, wherever it is, this whole fantasy, right? This, you know, um, live in the moment culture, you're going to be attracted to that. Whereas if you're someone that's working on yourself and you're going through a phase of personal development, you're going to be more attracted to people that are into personal development. So having a personal brand, putting yourself out there after, working yourself, building yourself, maybe starting a business, doing uncomfortable things is going to allow you to attract people that are on the same frequency, people that think similar to you. So I'm not going to really follow and speak to people who have vices or, they don't have a lot of self mastery or they're not great examples. I don't really want to interact with those people. So I just won't follow them. I won't communicate with them. That's not my tribe. So social media can be a powerful thing because all of my best friends I've met from social media, believe it or not, whether it's a course, whether it's seminars, whether it's different things that I've invested into myself, as well as my personal brand. That's helped me really get in touch and have great relationships with people that are on a similar journey.
We do have to look at the social media aspect because social media can be a great tool to connect to people. Yet in our world today, we have become so disconnected, even though we have our social media as our phones and things along those lines, right? Think of it as if someone calls you, you're like, okay, I'm going to wait till they stop calling me and I'm going to text them. Some people have that mentality. Now, if it's a good friend, most likely are going to answer, hey, buddy, how can I help you? Even if it's like an old friend, right? You're still going to probably answer, hey, how can I help you? This is the mentality of, I would say, millennials back, all the way to baby boomers, versus today, we have a different mindset. And so when we look at the mindset of our youth today, think of the people that these children are following or younger generations are following, our generation alphas, our Gen Zs. These people are following individuals like Andrew Tate. They're following people like, or people more so of, hey, I have a lot of cars, I have a lot of girls, I have a lot of clout. Yes, I smoke. Yes, I drink, but it's okay because I'm still successful. Now we have the lifestyle that someone has attained that we might want. And then they also have devices that maybe we should stay away from, but they're making it work and they're making it seem like this is what they should be going for. I know many young men, 16 all the way to 25 currently right now they're going through that mentality, that mindset of it's okay if I mix my vices and I'm successful. What is your take on that?
You're never going to find anyone that's perfect in all areas. No perfect individual exists. And I think there's beauty in that because you have to be smart enough as an individual to really take the good from that person. Ask yourself the question, is that the kind of man that you admire that goes out and does cocaine every weekend? Is that a best example for your younger siblings, for your friends, for your family? Would they be proud of you if you were that example? So you're never going to find anyone that's perfect. There's always going to be something that you may not 100% agree with. Society doesn't agree with. It's maybe not a good thing. However, I think it's best to take the good things from every person and just really put them all and into your own being. If you agree that it is important to build yourself as a man physically, then you should do that. If that person drinks alcohol every weekend, you don't have to do that. I think a lot of people look at things and they don't even question anything that comes to them, especially if you're someone that watches the news, right? You just think, oh, this is a life. But then when you actually do the thing or you achieve that thing, your conscience will tell you whether it's correct or not. So I think it really comes between a lot of things, but I always look at taking the good from everyone and you just have to implement what you think is correct.
There's an aspect that people can be lessons and people can be moments. Because if we take, someone who has a lifestyle that we want, but yet they have personalities that we might not necessarily gravitate toward. So maybe they're always angry. Maybe they have bad temper. They're not good people, yet they're super successful. It doesn't mean that we have to necessarily ignore that person and say, well, like this person's just a bad person. I don't want to be around them. Well, they are business savvy. You can learn different aspects from different people. I always say you can go to the tool store or Home Depot or whatever type of shop you need for tools. It's going to be different, I guess, for everyone. If you need a certain type of tool, you get it. And you're not going to say, well, let me just start getting every single tool from this tool store. You're not. You're going to say, I need a screwdriver. Let me get a screwdriver. I need a wrench. Let me get a wrench. And sometimes when you're working with individuals or looking for mentors or coaches, sometimes you just want a specific tool. You just want to get this from them. And when you have it, great. Now you have that asset. Now you have that tool for your toolbox to use whenever you need it. And if you feel like your time is up with that individual, then you move on to the next one. Get a new coach, get a new mentor, you get yourself a new tool that you need. And you gradually build yourself up where you have a whole arsenal of tools and you can finally build your empire. Yet sometimes people think, I just have to stick with one person. I just have to stick with this one thing. This is true, like going back to what I said about Andrew Tate, I agree with probably 80 to 85% of what he says, but he has programs, right? The Real World, the War Room, things along those lines. These programs can be tools, but then they can also be, in the mentality of my question, a whole toolbox. We can take things from here and there, but most of these young men that are going for these classes, they're taking this whole toolbox and they are losing their uniqueness, where they are just adapting rather than developing themselves. What is the issue with just adapting to a culture rather than developing yourself to the person that you should be?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think as a human being, especially as a man, you really develop and you adapt as you believe you should become as an example of a man. So if I see someone that has a lot of money, it's a figure similar to Andrew Tate, and they teach you how to make money online. That's great. But it doesn't necessarily mean I have to go and smoke cigars every day. I might not agree with that. That's maybe not something that I want to do. So you have to pick and choose. But I believe in subscribing to certain ideas and actions that are actually going to serve your best self and help you really do your best in this life. Because what's the point of subscribing to thoughts and actions that don't set a great example, or maybe are not part of you being your best self. Why would you even implement that? You hear people say, I've got imposter syndrome. I'm in here in Buenos Aires at the moment. And let me tell you, there's people that are starving, that haven't eaten for days. It's binary. The world is binary. There is no imposter syndrome. It doesn't exist. If you had to do the thing, you would do it, or else you wouldn't eat. So it's very yes or no. But it's when you go to the Western world, there's a lot of made up things that whether someone's made up to make money off someone else and finesse someone else, who knows? But it really is very simple. It's say you do it or you don't. And then you have to have the right mental frame in order to go through certain challenges that life throws at you.
How would one find the ideas that they should subscribe to? Because the ideas that our children are being influenced to believe are not theirs most of the time, right? Think of limiting beliefs. Teachers, parents are going to influence the kids versus the kids coming up with their own ideas. At some point, they lose their imagination, they lose their creativity. And so they adapt to the culture. This is why many young individuals, oh, if I want to be successful, I have to go to college. And that's not necessarily true. You don't need to be in college to be successful. You can be successful just the way you are, in the sense that we're growing, we're prospering. And then from there, at some point, we get to say, okay, these ideas that I have are going to bring about a better lifestyle for me, per se. But we have to know how to subscribe to those ideas and not take the ideas just from someone else. How do you help people find those ideas that are true to themselves?
I think there's a lot of different variables that'll come into that. I believe a lot of things come from the examples that your parents set. And if they don't set the right example, who then you choose as a mentor and what their principles and morals are. Because these days, a lot of people don't have morals. You got people that are selling their ass on OnlyFans, and then you have people that have principles and wouldn't do such a thing because their parents don't have that. They don't understand it. That just is not a question. So I believe a lot of it comes from the principles and values that your parents pass on to you. So if you have those values and principles and that's what you've been taught, well, then you're naturally going to fall to those. So you won't sell your soul for, all this bullshit because you believe in being correct and all those kind of values, which if you look at a lot of old people, right, I really cherish their company because they're from an era where it's a lot of hard work, it's trust. They have such different morals that and values that you can't really find in people these days. And that's not to say that it doesn't exist, but old people, that era is diminishing. And that's why it's so important to be a great example because who else is going to keep that wheel going? There's no other example. They're their example. Now we're the example for the next generation. So if we decide to go and, vices is the way, doing OnlyFans, prostitution, all this shit is correct, then the next generation is going to think that's correct and they're going to follow suit. So that's why being the best version of yourself and becoming the best example for those around you is so important. It's more than just us.
I think you brought up a great point. The aspect of values to subscribe to the ideas that you want for yourself. Many young adults today can't even tell you their values. They can't tell you what they want for themselves or what they want in a relationship. So they just kind of go what feels right, or they go where the money is, or what their friends are doing. Values are something that are no longer looked at. And you said that you love to be in company with the old folk, right? The older generation, because they have these values that are, I want to say, inspirational. Because we can say, wow, like you were able to make a marriage last 55 years or plus. And today, the moment someone's unhappy, it's just like, okay, let's get a divorce. So the value wasn't there. It could be the same thing for a job, right? Oh, my boss talked bad to me. Let me leave. All right. So the commitment wasn't there. What were, or what are some of the values that you see in the older generations that you would like to see in the younger generations more?
Yeah, there's a ton of things. Hard work, loyalty, respect, those things are going to be what you fought to accept. And what you don't accept is what you're not going to tolerate. So, if you have respect for yourself, you're not going to go and make an OnlyFans and, your family who sees you just won't do it because you don't accept that, right? Because you have too much respect for yourself and for your family. Whereas these days it's acceptable. So whatever is acceptable for these people, they'll do. But the line is drawn with your values. So if you have great values and strong values, then that's what you're going to afford to as a system and what you accept and don't accept.
And you talked about earlier, like our parents are going to be the one to instill our initial values. Teachers can do so as well. Some friends can do that to a certain extent. But then we get into the aspect of getting a mentor, getting a coach, because I was a teacher for some time. And what I can tell you is that you can see the cause and the effect from absent parents, from teachers who are checked out, burnt out, and what type of children are coming out from the school system. And you can see exactly what they're missing, what they're lacking. And yet, though you can see that we have these issues or these discrepancies, nothing is being done about it. So now these children are 18, 19, 20. They're trying to figure out their life. They don't have a good value system. They don't have good mentors. They don't have an idea of what they truly want for themselves. They live in that YOLO mindset. Well, I'm just going to do what I got to do. I'm just going to go have fun. I'm going to enjoy life. They're not necessarily worried about life yet. They're not worried about investing or retirement because it's not something that they need to be focused on at the moment. How can we start to help our youth focus on their future more readily than just kind of waiting until they finally mature?
It all comes down to being a great example for those around you, right? And you're only going to do that if you are working on it, becoming the best version of yourself. I can't sit here, be a fat blob and tell my son, oh, eat healthy, have discipline, because I don't even listen to myself. So how's he going to listen to me? That's why it's so important that when we look at, okay, why do I have to build the best version for myself? Why is personal development important? Well, it isn't just for you. It's so that you can become a better example for those around you. If you want to have a family, especially your kids, it's selfish for me to be overweight if I have kids, because then I'm just going to pass on that deficiency and that selfish matter and that level of acceptance to my kids so that they think that's okay. And then what's going to happen with them when they go to school? They're going to be unconfident. They're going to get picked on, bullied. All these things get passed on, but people look over it. They don't understand that people, your kids, those around you, they emulate the example that you set.
That's very true when it comes to parents. And the same thing is true with coaches. As we said, even early on, you have to be able to walk and talk to talk. Because if you're just going to say, okay, well, you have to get rid of all of these vices, yet you're doing these vices yourself, then it makes you a hypocrite. But then it also shows that you have more work to do yourself. And I'm a big fan of that. As long as you're one step ahead, you can always help someone to the next level, right? Because then you can say, hey, I just did what you did. I just overcame that challenge. I'm right here with you. Then you're helping that person along the way. But if you are, far back and you're just saying, keep on going, that right there is that person pushing themselves. And there's going to be moments when if they don't have someone in front of them or someone leading them, they're going to get lost or they're not going to be confident and they're going to maybe go astray. And that's when we have a lot of issues because now there's no guidance, there's no leadership. We can look at men today, we can look at families today. The aspect of leadership is gone. We're not leading our kids. We're allowing social media to raise our kids, our iPads, spend more time with our children than we do as parents or as teachers. Yes, we have a couple hours with them every single day, but how many of those hours are spent with purpose or with presence? Typically, it's full of absence because even when the kids get home from school, we sit on the sofa, we're on our phones, we're watching TV, Netflix, or whatever, and we go to have dinner together, we're on our phones, we are just absent. This mentality of being absent is so prevalent today. How can people start to live more in the moment? Start to get rid of the distractions that are keeping us from being truly connected with our friends, our families, parents, the people, and also mentors, the people who are going to help us grow.
Yeah, and one of the most important things is just understanding presence. Things It's a very distracting world, but you have to understand, and that's personal development as well, being self-aware of how you're, displaying yourself to your kids if you have kids, which is an easy example. Like if you're not present with them and you're just on your phone 24/7, then they're likely to just follow suit and think it's normal. So I think it takes a certain level of self-awareness and personal development to look at, okay, what am I doing and how is that really going to play out in my son or my daughter's life? Am I really present?
A huge amount of discipline is necessary to really excel in this world. What separates people today is going to be their discipline and their consistency. You have to create those good habits in your life. If you're doing things that are tearing you down and not lifting you up and building you up, then you have to figure out the alternative. You have to figure out, okay, well, if I feel like crap, how can I not feel like crap? Do I need to start going to the gym? Do I need to stop drinking or doing these drugs or whatever it be? I have to start to do the things that make me feel good. And it's not so much of a temporary feel good, right? Because we can take some type of drug that makes us feel good, makes us feel empowered, but yet the crash is what is going to destroy us. So we have to find the things that are not going to destroy us, but that are going to continue to build us, our mindset, whether it be good nutrition, good fitness, all of that's going to help elevate us. And the conversation that we had today is just the beginning because there's so many avenues and so many paths a person can walk down. Because if they are going down a path and it's not necessarily one that's building them up, then they can say, you know what, this is not for me. And there's no feelings of hardship or wrongness you have to feel that if you do something and it's not for you, you can stop. All right. Because you can find what's going to work for you. And my advice is to find someone that's going to be there to support you along the way and to help you reach the ideal candidate that you have envisioned for yourself. So, as we begin to wrap up, I would love to get some final words and then for you to tell the audience where they can find you.
Yeah, perfect. Look, I mean, guys, it's very easy to see that the world is a very different place, and where it heads depends on who we are as people and who we are for our people. So if you're someone that follows vices and maybe you're overweight, you need to be honest with yourself with where you're at in order to become a better version of yourself. Because a lot of people, if they're broke, if they're fat, they have a massive ego and they say, no, no, I'm good. Like I'm happy doing this. But you're only serving yourself, and it's selfish. You're choosing yourself over your family, over those around you, with all your choices. So how you guys need to look at it is that everyone is guaranteed one thing, and that's death, right? We're all gonna die, whether it's today, tomorrow, who knows? But who do you want to be remembered as by all those around you? How do you want to have impacted those people around you? Were you a good example? Did you go after what you wanted? Did you go after the highest levels and show people what was possible, but also being the greatest example as a man? Or did you choose yourself? You were fat. You didn't really try. You had an average existence. That is a punishment. Average is a punishment for the weak because you're deciding to be less when you could actually be more. But it's just part of the culture. It's a part of who people listen to. But most important thing I can say is just become the best version of yourself and choose purpose, which is helping and being an example for other people.
And how can people find you?
Yeah, Jacob, JACOB MUIRR, YouTube, Instagram. I'm all over there. So
Perfect. And I'll make it easy. I'm going to get all your links and I'm going to just put them in the description box below so people can check you out, check out the work that you're doing, learn more about your journey and how you were able to overcome to a better and higher self. And this is what we need to do and what we need to understand because there are so many missing pieces in our life. And the conversation that we had today was so many different paths that we can have walked down where in the mind of people right now they're like, oh, we could have did this, we could have did that, I can do this, I can make this change. This is going to get those gears turning in your mind. And when those gears are turning, that's when you have to begin to implement a plan and to take action. And the best way to implement that plan is to get someone who's going to help you. Jacob's going to be a great asset. Again, looking at your life, figuring out what you need, what you want, and then making sure that you are aware of all your blind spots, because we all have them, and we need to make sure that we have a mentor or coach that can help us see them before we have to live them. So it's not all about trial and error. Wisdom can be a huge proponent in our success. I want to thank you so much, Jacob, for coming on, spending some time, and talking about your work. All right, everyone, I'd like to thank you so much for watching that interview with Jacob Muir and myself. Like I said, the mindset journey, it can be all over the place. But what we gain from it is we gain an understanding how the mind can be so hectic, but it can also be controlled. It can be corralled. It can be, in a sense, put into a pattern that's going to help it grow. A system, if you want to call it that, where you figure out what is going to work for you, and what works for everyone is different. Because the clients that I have, I mean, some things are going to be the same. Yeah. Maybe we look at some values and they're the same. Maybe we look at some of the things they want, like you want a house. Okay, cool. It's probably the same thing as what other people want. You want a nice relationship. Cool. It's the same thing. But how we get there might be different, because their history, their current circumstance is different. And so we have to adjust the coaching to that. I have found that when you adjust things like that to be very personalized to the individual rather than just a blanket statement, like, oh, if you want to be successful, you do this. Oh, if you want to be happy, you do this. Well, that might not be for you. That's why individualization, customization is something that I focus on. And I know many other coaches do that too, because they have realized that that is what people need. When we throw our kids in a classroom, you have anywhere from 19 to 32 kids, depending on district, class. I mean, you can have a very close-knit group. If you go to like a Montessori school, maybe you have 7 to 9 kids in a class. But then maybe you go to a public school and they just kind of pack them in like sardines. It's not so much of, oh, this is the school district's fault for letting this happen. It's just the reality. Class sizes have gone up. They have been being managed. I'm not going to say that the class sizes are just going up and they're never going to stop. They have to stop at some point, because it's just not effective to teach a big class of elementary school kids, especially middle school a little bit. High school, you can have a bigger class size. It's okay because they're a little bit more mature. And in college, there's not necessarily a huge limit. That's why you can have these big seminars, these big classes, because the responsibility is on them. And as we grow, we begin to get more responsibility. In the beginning, we might not be super responsible, so we don't do our homework, and then we learn that we have to do our homework, and then that becomes our system. We have to do homework, right? When we get home from school, we do the homework. In a sense, we learn a system along the way. And as an adult, we have a system that's already created for us. Yet sometimes that system is not helpful, because after you do your homework when you're a kid, what do? Well, today, kids go on their phones, they go on the TV, they play video games. There's not much productivity going on. When I was younger, I didn't even want to do my homework, number one. I just wanted to go outside, ride my bike, and hang out with the kids in the neighborhood. I wanted to be free. I wanted to imagine. And I wanted to, I guess, get bit by mosquitoes because I would stay out so late. But this was the reality. I wanted to be outside. Snow days, we didn't have school. Great. Loved it. Go outside and play in the snow. I loved it. But then today, tell a kid to go outside. Do I have to? I mean, we are living in a different circumstance than we have been growing up, or I had been growing up. And what has happened is our mindsets have changed and our values have changed. And we talk a little bit about those values in this episode. However, values are going to be something that is dependent on your parents typically, and is going to be dependent on what you want for yourself later on. Your character is going to be something that your parents have a huge say in. Your friends, not so much. Your teachers, not so much. Now, you get to practice your character at school. So if you are a person who's respectful, a person who's honest, that right there is going to be because of your family instilling that within you. Maybe you go to church, you have that value within you. I'm not saying that you're going to go to school and give a sermon in front of the classroom. We learn the aspect of what the religion is. Now, I know religion has changed also. The times are changing, the minds are changing. But yet, we get to change with what's happening too. We don't necessarily have to go with the ebb and flow of life. We don't have to say, you know what, since the world is going this way, I have to go that way too, because the world is doing it, right? It makes sense that the world is doing it. I have to do it too. There's no reason for you to be like everyone else, because the majority of people are suffering. The majority of people are unhappy. The majority of people have a poor mindset. The majority of people are trying to figure out a plan. But yet the plan can be simple. The action can be simple. What do we need to do in order to elevate ourselves? What is stopping us? What are going to be the anchors in our life? As Jacob said, for him, at a moment in his life, it was those negative vices that he had, whether it be the drinking, some friends maybe. Those can be the anchors. And so at some point, you have to realize you have to relinquish those. And you have to say, these do not serve me anymore. What will serve me? What do I have to look for in a person, in a life that I can be proud of? Let me try to emulate that. What I have done here on Coaching in Session is I have created a platform where I bring on different personalities. I bring on different coaches from all different walks of life, some young, some old school, some new school, some with different patterns of thinking, different logics, different methodologies, because I understand that you might not necessarily like how we do things at Reven Concepts, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying that we are the only coaching company in the world. What I will say is I am allowing other coaches to come on to share their experience so you can see the variety in how minds work, to see the variety in what a mindset is capable of, because you're always going to be looking for the people who you resonate with. Call it that they have good energy. Call it that, this person is a like-minded you. Maybe, again, we're focused on the growth mindset. They have a very similar mindset to you. They have the same desires. They have a good lifestyle. You can look at their life and say, I admire this person. And it's not so much that you want to be like them. It's just that you want to rise to the standards that they are and that they have risen to. Your life is going to be unique. You don't necessarily have to mimic someone's life. You don't have to do exactly what they have done or to do exactly what they do. And I know the peer pressure is there. One of the reasons I brought up Andrew Tate is because the peer pressure for drinking and smoking and things along those lines is there. Yes, success is a component, but when you're around individuals, some are going to say, well, hey, have a drink. Let's party. Let's celebrate. Maybe now you're partying, you're drunk, and before you know it, now you're going down that rabbit hole. But yet there's going to be people who might offer you something. They're going to say, hey, try this. This is going to be good. Let's celebrate. And you say, no, I'm good. And they're not going to say, oh, you are no fun or you are a certain type of person. They're not even going to label you. They're going to say, okay, not a problem. To each their own. But yet they still have that mentality of growing. They still have that same relationship of unity and togetherness and respect. There is no dishonesty there. Find those people. Because they might be going down a path that you might not like. You can make a choice. You can say, well, I'm not even going to associate to this person because that path that they're going on is, I don't want to be near it. But then you can also say, they have a lot of good traits. Let me be around them when they are exuding those good traits. That can't happen. So during the workday, maybe a 9 to 5, you're around them. But when they go party from 6 to 12, you're home, reading a book, doing what you got to do, spending time with the family, learning, growing, prospering. This can be you. So we learn from individuals, we learn from mentors, we learn from coaches, we learn what we need. And at each moment, you get to decide what is for you. Peer pressure is going to be there. Devices are going to be there. The quick fixes are going to be there. But you have to stand firm, and you have to stand against the things that are going to distract you and distract you from what you truly want. Maybe it's greatness. Maybe it's fulfillment. Maybe it's peace. Maybe it's happiness, whatever it be. Learn to create the habits and the discipline and be consistent toward that. And then from there, you're going to start to see everything fall into place. The life that you have dreamed of becomes reality. My name is Michael Rearden. I'm a mindset coach. If you have any questions, email me coachinginsession@gmail.com. Again, all the links are going to be in the description box below for my guest Jacob and myself here at Reven Concepts. We are more than happy to help and assist you along the way to help you be the best person and the best version you can be of yourself. Until the next episode of Coaching in Session, everyone take care.